Today we'll cover 5 reasons why an avoidant may not chase you, and at the end of this video, I'll tell you how you can address this situation in a secure way. If you're new to attachment theory, here's the 4 main attachment styles. Today we're going to be talking about the dismissive avoidant and why they may not chase in a relationship. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that the avoidant will never chase. There's some times where they will chase, especially early in the relationship in the honeymoon phase. There's times where they may actually chase, but today we're going to be covering the reasons why they may not chase, and most of the time they don't. So the first reason is going to be emotional independence. So a dismissive avoidant person typically won't chase after their partner because they prioritize their emotional independence. Avoidants are not comfortable with closeness, and often they feel overwhelmed when someone gets too close, too emotionally close. So instinctively, they distance themselves rather than pursuing their partner, pursuing a relationship. Because for them, chasing someone would require some emotional investment, which triggers their fears of vulnerability and their remaining emotionally autonomous. Now, avoidants are more likely to protect themselves by pulling away. When they start to sense some emotional intensity in the relationship, they're not really comfortable with such degrees of emotional intensity, right? So they value their self-reliance, and they may perceive chasing someone as a sign of dependency or emotional neediness, which conflicts, again, with their desire for independence in relationships. So instead of chasing, avoidants often retreat to themselves when they feel that their space is being threatened, and they rather focus on maintaining their emotional independence. Number 2 is going to be a need for control. So think about it. Chasing someone requires you to surrender some level of control in the relationship, and that's something that avoidants find really difficult, right? They really value maintaining control over their emotional independence and situations in life in general. Now, when I say a need for control, I don't mean it in the way that a narcissist desires control in a relationship in a way that's very malicious and manipulative. No, for an avoidant, it's more from a place of self-protection. But yes, they like having that sense of control over their emotions and situations in life in general. That would include this relationship. And pursuing a partner may feel like they're losing that emotional control, leaving them emotionally exposed. And number 3 is a fear of intimacy. So while avoidants may desire connection deep down because they're human and they desire connection just like all of us, they do have a fear of intimacy, and that fear often outweighs the desire, right? So they fear intimacy, but they also desire it, and that fear often outweighs the desire. So chasing someone might lead to emotional closeness, which avoidants find very uncomfortable. So to avoid feeling vulnerable, they choose to maintain their distance rather than actively pursuing in a relationship. And number 4, past negative experiences, right? So past relationships where they may have felt overwhelmed, hurt, or smothered may reinforce their desire to avoid chasing. So negative experiences can create a strong association between emotional pursuit, chasing, and discomfort, making them more likely to not engage in chasing and pursuing a relationship. So, wounds from past relationships that trigger their fears prevents them from chasing. And number 5, which I think is the biggest one, is a fear of vulnerability. And I think this is the root of an avoidant's fears. They really fear being vulnerable. So chasing someone requires putting your emotions on the line. When you think about that, you're putting your emotions on the line. And this makes them feel vulnerable and open to potential rejection or hurt. So this fear of vulnerability leads them to avoid situations where they would have to reveal those deeper feelings and depend on someone else for emotional fulfillment. And by not chasing, they maintain a protective emotional barrier, and better ensuring that they don't get too close and ultimately risk being hurt. Now, here's how you can handle this situation, because maybe you pulled away to match your partner's energy, right? Maybe they pulled away and then you pulled away. And you're finding that they're still refusing to chase even after you've pulled away. Well, here's how you can securely handle this. Now, if you're strongly secure, you have a very strong, secure attachment style, with rigid boundaries, you could just walk away from this, right? You might not even want to entertain this, and you could just walk away from that relationship altogether because you just don't want to put up with it. But there's another way to go about this. If maybe you really, this is a serious relationship, maybe you really value it, and you want to make things work, there's another way to go about this. But you need to be willing to be a little vulnerable, and you need to just tell your partner, hey, I miss you. I really like what we have. It felt good before, and I'd like to keep going with what we have. We can take it slower if you need, but it would be nice to know if we're on the same page, because I like you, but I can't wait around forever, so please understand. So that's something you could say, right? That's something you could say to address this situation in a secure way. That's not non-confrontational, but you're still stating your needs and asserting your boundaries and your desire for wanting the relationship to work. So it takes some real vulnerability and courage to say something like that, right? But that's one way you can handle it. So I hope I brought some good into your life today. If so, please like and subscribe, and please continue to share your stories and your experiences in the comments section. Let's get the discussion going. And if you think this video might help somebody, please share it with them. And until next time, you take care. I'll see you in the next.